Hello, everyone, and welcome to Since 1919. Today is another special episode because it is actually our anniversary, not of the podcast, but of the firm itself. We have been in business 107 years as of August 11th. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit more about our history, how we got here, because 107 years is a long time, and our legacy almost kind of ended right at the beginning. Ron, do you want to share that story?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Margaret. So, like we said, 107 years. That's amazing.
Yes.
What a great story. So our firm started with an architect named Jesse Barloga. He started the firm back in 1919. Hence, that's how we got our name.
Yes.
And then he started with, he was doing work, and as things were going along, came to a point where he got ill. He had cancer, was diagnosed, and he was going to sell the firm to Ray Nolan. However, they had written up the agreement, and Ray was going to execute the agreement, but for whatever reason, Ray told me the story. I don't know why they kept pushing off, but as Jess got more ill, Viola, Jess's wife, called Ray up and says, "Hey, you got to get over here. Let's get this signed. Jess is not doing well." So Ray got in his car. He drove to Jess's house. By the time he arrived, Jess had passed away. The agreement was not signed. So there comes a issue. What happens now? The actual owner of the firm is now deceased, and now Ray's going to have to figure out what might happen. And Jess's wife, Viola, what is she going to do with it? So they worked on an agreement to execute the contract, which Jess was selling the firm to Ray for $2,500. That was back in 1947. Just to kind of put it in equivalence, that would be about $37,450 in today's dollars.
Yes.
Still a lot of money back then. Probably Ray was maybe making $2,000 a year tops. So what ends up happening is he does a buyman agreement where he's going to pay Viola over the next several years. And I think it was like 5 to 7 years. I think somewhere around there was the contract time. And the firm remained as a name as Barloga Nolan.
Right.
And that's where I went.
And Viola, was she like a part owner? Or I know she did interiors, right?
Yeah, she did interiors for the firm. That was her, as I understand, that was her expertise.
Okay.
So she did stay around and help Ray at that point.
Okay. And then, if you want to go ahead and share some statistics, because 107 years is quite the outlier for an architect firm.
Yeah, definitely. So the statistics are 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years, according to the U.S. Business and Labor Statistics. And only 25% of businesses actually survive 15 years or more. So we're in an elite group of businesses to last over 100 years now. Yeah. And there's even a little bit of twist of that. We're even older than that if we do our combined history that you're going to talk about in a few minutes. Small business, boutique businesses, they usually last the lifetime of the person running the firm. So like an architectural firm, if it's just a sole proprietor, he may run his firm for his career and may never have a buyer or may not be part of the plan, so it'll last whatever his career length might be, 30 to 40 years, and then it just disappears. And we have a history of Rockford firms that have that exact course of action.
Yeah. And man, that almost happened to us. Thank goodness for Nolan and Viola.
Yeah, definitely.
So I was going to mention, so back in 2016, Ron actually bought another firm called Bradley and Bradley Architects. And it was kind of a move because you wanted to add to our portfolio. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Bradley and Bradley was really has had a strong experience in educational facilities, whether it's from kindergarten all the way through junior college or type of work like that. And so I wanted to increase our portfolio and use that experience and that history to help open up some additional avenues for us.
Right. And so adding to that, Bradley and Bradley was actually started in 1854, so even earlier than us, 1919. And just wanted to share some notable projects that if you live in Rockford, you've seen it, you've been in them, you've probably even rented them. So one of the first projects I wanted to mention was the Rockford Armory National Guard. It was built in 1937, and the way it was designed was the first of its kind. It was a single unified steel frame, which is a precursor to pre-engineered steel buildings, so creative, innovative. Later on, it was even used as a concert venue, so if you know what Cheap Trick is, they once performed in there. I thought that was funny.
Can I add a little thing about that?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so I was working with the Department of Military Affairs, and the guy that was running the armory, he was doing that on the side without the authorization of the Department of Military Affairs.
I was wondering about that because how does that make sense?
Yeah, and he was banking money with all these shows. I know Rush and Kiss performed there. Yeah. It's funny that a side note was, even though that was a venue, it was being kind of done off the books.
Oh my goodness. Okay, because that explains in my research. I'm like, how is this doing both at the same time? So that's hilarious.
Yep.
And then, so unfortunately, it stopped being an armory in 1993, went through various owners, iterations, and then it's been vacant since 2003, essentially. But exciting news, it was acquired by the Rockford Area Arts Council to be turned into a cultural civic center. Not sure what all the details are of that yet, but we've been kind of keeping up to date on it. We hope to be involved hopefully in the future. And we were invited to the ribbon cutting essentially because, we are Bradley and Bradley. We are part of their history now. I thought that was pretty cool. One other project I wanted to mention is Veterans Memorial Hall. So small caveat, it was actually designed by Bradley and Carpenter, George Bradley's son. So still connected, but maybe not quite as much. Either way, I'll talk about it. It was the first memorial hall in the nation, built in 1903. And then at its dedication, President Theodore Roosevelt said, "No more fitting memorial, no more fitting monument could be erected than a hall such as this, a hall beautiful in itself and beautiful because of the uses to which it is consecrated." I don't think it gets much better than that as a recommendation of a building. And then you, Ron, how did you meet the owners of Bradley and Bradley in its iteration in 2016?
So at the time, I was the president of what was called the American Institute of Architects Northern Illinois chapter. Yeah. And I would meet with the different members, and obviously the two principals at the time for Bradley and Bradley were both members of the AIA Northern Illinois chapter, and we started having some conversations. They were, at one time, probably one of the largest or the second largest firm in Rockford. Yeah. And just through some changes of ownership and not really knowing the full story, they had gotten dwindled back down just to two people. Yeah. And they were at a point where one of the principals was starting to have health issues, and the remaining partner just didn't want 100% of the responsibility any longer. And it looked like a fit where possibly we could come in and acquire them for their history and keep the legacy alive for their name. As we don't take it off our website. We still get calls from people saying, "Hey, do you still have X, Y, and Z school for that Bradley and Bradley did?"
It's nice to have another historical connection, again, being such a long-standing firm and continuing to reach back in time and continuing that legacy.
Yeah.
But we wanted to cover, in our 107-year tenure, it has not been without hardship. Do you want to mention some things, Ron?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, just look at Jesse Barloga. We started in 1919, and then the United States had the Great Depression in the 20s, and it lasted a long time. And he survived that. Not only survived that, then World War II breaks out, and they survived that. They survived it by actually closing the office, and him and Ray, Jesse Barloga, that is, him and Ray ended up going and started drawing patterns for like the B-29 bomber, I believe. And they were drawing life-size patterns on hangar floors to help with the production, the war production for military aircraft. And then once the war ended, they resumed, opened up the office, which is the cursor to just started getting ill.
Yeah.
And they contributed to him spending all those hours during the wartime bent over drawing these patterns on the hangar floor.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what Ray told me, and he said, because he was complaining about back pain, and they just thought, well, he was hunched over, drawing us all the time. Unfortunately, it ended up being cancer, and we've already discussed what happened there.
Yeah. And then,
so each principal, there's been 5 presidents of the firm, and all 5 of us have, at some point, ran into something. Plenty of recessions and, or different wars. So, for example, Ray Nolan, once he bought the firm, a lot of what was happening was based on the reputation of Jess himself.
Yeah.
So after he bought the firm, he fully had full ownership. This was in the early 1950s. Ray was, as he put it, I was just sitting in the office in the news tower, which Jess designed here in Rockford. He was twiddling his thumbs. He said he basically had no work. And then a prominent father figure of this city of the last name Atwood came in and commissioned a project with him. And once that happened, it got the ball rolling again.
Yeah.
And
do you know anything about like Nolan's work previously before he joined with Jess?
Yeah, Ray was a MIT graduate who moved to Chicago and was going to work for Chicago firms. And at that time, and it's hard for me to understand, but there was kind of like a union hall for like carpenters and different trades. There was one for architects. And Ray was in that, and he got responded to an architect in Rockford needed help with some projects. So he came out to Rockford to work on, as Ray said, I was just going to work on 1 or 2 projects, go back to Chicago and start my career there, or finish a career or whatever, and ended up being here, staying longer, have the war, just passing away, and then he continued the firm. And such a point where Ray ended up developing a great relationship with Woodward Governor, and we started doing their projects all over the country and even did their plant in Japan.
Right. Yeah.
So Ray, he turned it around really well. And then Bruce Tyson, he became a partner, and then, the late 70s, the energy crisis, the gas pricing, the interest rates were really high, and likewise, he also had this downturn in the economy, which they were struggling as a firm to continue. But Bruce had the foresight to get involved with projects that were funded by the Housing and Urban Development. Even though it was a tenuous time, he did land a project, and he actually made an error on his proposal, and then the executive director of this housing authority came back and said, "Are you sure that number's correct? Because that seems really low." Bruce, at that point, he was really just trying to keep the doors open, and the executive director says, "I think you made a mistake. I think you left a 0 off." And Bruce is like, "Yeah, I did." And they put a 0. I think he still was the low bid.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting that contract, and that's what helped survive that time, and then work continued to increase. And even as for myself, I mean, Tom Smith was part of that too, so I'm going to lump Tom Smith in with Bruce.
Sure.
Because they were both there at the same time when that was happening.
Yeah.
Because Ray had left at that point. And then for myself, it was a few years back, same thing. It really wasn't the economy was bad. It was just kind of just a business strategy where I had worked with a developer who ended up not being who they said they were, and There were a few other things that projects that were planned on disappeared, and I came to a point where we were needed to make efforts to make the firm survive. And that's where I really kind of came to the point where it's not what I do or what anyone does in the firm. It's really just kind of, it really had me dig deep into my faith, where I just relied on God to provide, and he did, and he has done magnificently when I relinquished control. And that and the firm has really been done very well since then.
We're still here, folks.
Yes.
So now that we've kind of covered like how, the struggles that have led us up to this point, but also the successes, what do you see for the next 107 years besides maybe retiring one day?
Yeah, retiring one day would be okay. I don't think I'd ever want to retire. I want to do something, but I think we're looking for having that strong transition. What does that mean? We're looking for the next Bruce Tyson. We're looking for the next Ray Nolan to step up and take the firm and run it for the next, their career, 30, 40 years before they transition to someone else. And that's really the goal. And that's my goal right now, to make sure that we find that persons to have this firm be successful. And it would be awesome to say, hey, we're celebrating our 214th anniversary. That would be awesome for someone down the road to be doing that. And it certainly would never be possible without what happened. I'm so grateful for the previous 4 owners of what they did. Because, like I said, there were things that happened, and the successes that they had that have cemented our reputation to do certain projects has really propelled us to where we're going and continue to move forward with.
Is there any kind of work that you foresee us, because we do a lot of housing, like what kind of work do you kind of hope to continue doing?
Yeah, I think the housing portion of it is that we've been so established in it. We talk about we've been working with affordable housing for well over 60 years now. And that is really kind of my forte as well. I inherited it from Bruce, and I've expanded it by taking it more from a regional to more national exposure. So like when Bruce was doing it, Illinois, Wisconsin really was kind of where he was concentrating. And where I've taken that is expanding it now to as far as west as Texas, to the East Coast, to the Carolinas, to Florida, and Bruce, Florida as well. He moved into Florida back in 2002, I believe it was. We have definitely see that as a strong suit, but there's other projects we're very excited about right now. I mean, we're doing a nice renovation for the Pregnancy Care Center. We're doing the new State Line Church here in Rockford, which is going to be close to a 70,000 square foot facility for 1,500 seat auditorium. That project's really exciting, and I see that things that Zach has been working on. But I think the common theme that we'll see running through it, and I think this is kind of maybe our mission that we would do, is working for maybe not-for-profit agencies or faith-based organizations like the Pregnancy Care Center or the State Line Youth for Christ organization, just to name a couple. We've been involved with Catholic Charities. We've been involved with Lutheran Social Services of Illinois, all faith-based organizations that were providing some type of housing or skilled care nursing type facilities for individuals.
In our pre-interview, we just kind of discussed, we hope the firm continues as long as we keep doing the work that we're aligned with. Because if we stop doing that, then we are no longer the firm that we started out as. And I think that's just kind of a theme. And, we're going to keep keep doing that work. Ron, do you have anything more to say here at the end?
No, I think what you just brought was really important. I think it's, people would say, well, what's your mission statement? Whatever. I think really ours is just to take on those projects that align with our beliefs and not compromise that. And I believe that will allow us to continue, be successful, and have the blessings that we're experiencing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for listening. This has been our anniversary episode, 107 years. Also, just a little update. There is going to be a sign in Pecatonica featuring Jesse Barloga because that is where he was born. So I've been working on that on the side with a representative from over there. So I don't know when it's going to go up, but I will be sure to post about it. If you're not following us, please follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify. For everything 1919 Architects. Again, like Ron just said, we have a lot of projects we're very excited about, want to keep sharing stuff with you. But yeah, thank you again so much for watching.